Well, welcome to Gardening with Granny. This is mid-September and you can see the huge marigolds behind me. Let's turn the camera around. This is a portion of the gardens that I don't normally take you on, but I thought I would show you what's happening. This is the back view or lakeside of our property, and it's a beautiful view, but it's one that I don't have to pay much attention to. The stand of hostas down there underneath the sassafras trees and oak tree have done beautifully all on their own. I do every once in a while come down. I do have a video where I showed planting some stilby in there, and it just sort of takes care of itself. There is a bench down there that we can sit on and view the lake a little closely, but it's getting up and down this very steep hill is a challenge. Actually, getting up is the worst challenge. Going down isn't so hard. So, and then the staircase that leads, you can see my harvesting basket there, that leads up to the deck, and you have seen the green stalks that are up on that deck and also that pot. But down here are some roses. These are the stock roses, and unfortunately the roses that were grafted onto these didn't survive. And so these roses aren't very pretty. But these marigolds are absolutely huge. And this vining nasturtium just fits the bill to fill in this area. Now this is the area that I've planted garlic. I planted and harvested garlic out of this bed this summer, and it didn't do really well because there's no drip irrigation, there's no water that automatically comes to this area. Excuse the plane. We do live near an airport, small airport, but an airport. So these nasturtium really have added some beautiful color, but they must be a good 10 feet long. There's only 2 plants in here. And I actually love it. It's just easy to take care of. It keeps back the weeds. You know, what more can you ask? Further along this area, you can see my ferns are still doing fairly well. These don't get hit with much sunshine, so they do pretty good until the first frost. Hanging baskets, unfortunately, haven't received any fertilizer, but they're still doing well. Coming along this way, you can see that we are getting ready for winter. My husband's been stacking the wood. And this is our under the deck. There's some dusty miller, the coleus that I've planted in these raised beds are in bloom, doing very well. In the summertime we have to water them almost every day, but now that there's less intense sunlight, they are doing pretty good. Coming up our ramp, this is the garden to the right, and you can see the asters are in beautiful bloom. There's also some lovely canna, and there it's also in bloom. So the apple tree is doing well. I think we might be harvesting some apples that will actually give us some applesauce and maybe some apple pie. I've already made an apple crisp, but it's a pretty sight anyway. I mentioned in a few videos how much I have been enjoying this coleus, and what I want to do today is to do some cuttings and see if I can get them to root so that I can save money and plant them next year. Welcome to Gardening with Granny. Today we're going to do some propagating. If you've watched any of my videos about going around the property and I've shown you the front gardens, you will recognize this beautiful coleus. I absolutely am thrilled with the way this coleus performed this year. It actually created a lovely hedge. And so I want to see if I can propagate it so that I can repeat that next year. I don't think I'm going to get bored with it. It kept the weeds away. I mean, it was the biggest win of 2023 as far as I'm concerned. So the instructions I've read about propagating is that when you pick the plant, let me get my little snips here. There we go. So when you propagate, you want to remove these stems right here. And the rooting will occur from this area. So you also want to remove as much foliage as you can so that the plant doesn't have to work so hard on energy. So it's going to send its energy down into developing roots. So we want to take off this and this as well. And you may even cut the leaves in half. So you're really not left with a whole lot. You do need some energy up here to transfer into the root. So we will leave this. Then you simply tuck it into a jar and that's it. So I hope you stay tuned. We will check on the progress of this once we see some rooting occur. Once the roots are established, then you can soak them in a solution of rooting, or it's actually a powder that you can dip into, and that helps it to establish in the dirt. Now, some say that there's a liquid you can purchase to put in a jar that helps with the developing of roots. I have read that really for most plants that's not necessary. You can simply root it in water. Now the water should be changed about once a week, they said, to make sure you have fresh water and that the bacteria doesn't develop, because that can be, you know. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see in the weeks to come how this turns out. I hope that we have lots of wonderful coleus for next year. If you watched any of my videos from previous years, I have propagated my favorite geranium, and I absolutely love the color. It's a pinkish red that is not often available. You know, there are some very standard type geraniums that are available every year, and geraniums are pretty expensive. Now, coleus aren't that awful expensive, but I like this particular one. I like the performance of this particular one. Last year, I also saved a tomato seed, and we propagated it. In other words, it grew and gave us great tomatoes this year. I call it the big red W. And I did save seeds from it this year to propagate. Now, there are some plants, like proven winter plants, that have a patent on them that you can't propagate. So just be mindful of the standard variety of plants that don't have a patent. You are very welcome to try to do. I will leave a link in the description below for the Almanac, which did a great blog on how to propagate, and hopefully that'll be helpful for you. So please like and subscribe. Thanks again. Hi, friends. Well, it's about a week later, and our experiment with just putting the coleus in water did not work. When I went to look at them about 4 days later, they were mush. So I removed the mush, which was a good 2 inches from the cut, and I stuck them back in water. Excuse me. And then I checked again yesterday, and there still was no growth. I decided to try a different way, if at first you don't succeed. So I am cutting off anything that is mushy. I'm going to put rooting hormone in a little container. I want to cut the rest of these off just to give it the best strength possible, so that it's not dealing with excess foliage. And I'm just going to let it rest in the water while I put the rooting hormone in the little container. So this is the rooting hormone I'm using. I'm sorry, I don't know why that's reversed, but it is just basic rooting hormone. I've had it for like a couple of years. You use very little of it. You just have to dust it basically. And it's a hormone that helps the plant grow. So over here, I have some 6 containers that I will be putting the stems in. I've already put some water in, but new potting mix is hard to get the water to absorb, so I'm doing it a couple of times to just get the water mixed in. Normally, when I'm doing a big seed production, what I'll do is, put water in, mix it around, and let it settle, and then do it again. But I just want to show you the process that I'm using, because the water process did not work for me. Now, I've had lots of other people tell me how it has worked for them, but it just turned these. Now, I don't know, it might be the type of coleus it is. But then what we're going to do is we're going to just dust the rooting edge of the coleus and stick it into the dirt. And hopefully we'll be more successful with this process. and I'm going to fill in the rest of them. And hopefully my next report will be we have roots. So thank you for watching. Please stay tuned. The end results will not be in this video. I would like to just get this edited and up and share it with you. So if this has been informational, you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, share it with your friends who might want to propagate coleus or other things. I'm also going to have a seed saving video come up shortly that I'm working on, and hopefully that will be helpful for other people. So thank you for viewing. This is Mary for Gardening with Granny, and I'll see you next time.